What is up, everybody? I have some guitar pedals to drop off at Earthquaker Devices, and then we're gonna go do all my Christmas shopping. Probably some gift cards, but to local places, because that's what I could fit on my bike. And I'm also gonna probably try and ride my bike over to Christmas in a couple days. So I am gonna look at some local like shops and crafts, and if I could fit a few things on here, I will. So maybe some handmade clothes, something like that. I don't know. Don't really have a plan yet, besides getting to Earthquaker. I did take the fat bike, the Surly Wednesday, out yesterday. The radar had this big band of snow. Forecast said snow heavy at times for an hour and a half, and then all we got was a few flakes.
So I will say the first thing I noticed jumping on the fat bike was not the giant tires or the extremely long wheelbase or the weight of the bike. It's the handlebars, just because they're so different to me. And maybe that's the first thing you've noticed jumping on any different bike that substantially has different bars. So these Ritchie bars are roughly, I just grabbed a tape measure, 32 inches across, whereas my Velo Orange granola bars on my other studded tire bike are more in the 26-inch range. So I definitely did feel like my arms were out farther than I'm used to. I was surprised how the bike didn't feel that hard to move. You just really expect them to feel so much slower and tougher to push and heavy, and it just really didn't feel like that to me. It also shows that good bike design, you can really ride something different and the bike can still handle well, even though it seems like it would be totally crazy. I noticed that when I borrowed a friend's Rivendell, and I can't remember exactly which one it was, but it was one of the really long ones, and I just rode it around an area where we were at a bike event, and I expected the thing to handle completely crazy, and I couldn't believe how well it actually did handle. There were a few ice patches on the road, and it was so nice just to have that total confidence with this bike and not worry about them at all. Taking a paved corner at a little bit of speed really did feel weird. I'm just not used to this kind of tire, and obviously these are big studded, chunky tires. So that was one thing that would take some getting used to, but again, pavement riding isn't really the use case for this bike. Same thing with descending on the hills with these 4-inch studded tires. At around 15 miles an hour, the thing really started to have like a vibration that you could feel in the saddle to it. But again, this is not really the use case for this bike, so that's not like a negative. I did have a couple ghost shifts with my left hand because I am so used to riding a 2x, and that always happens whenever I get on somebody's 1x. It takes me a minute to realize, yeah, there's no front chainring you have to worry about here. It is a nice thing once you get used to it. I mean, I still prefer 2x's, but I could see on a bike like this, there's really no point to do that. My overall ride was 16 miles, and I have to say the C17 saddle didn't bother me. I can't say if that would become a different thing, though, if this was 30 miles or 40 miles, but do you guys ever ride fat bikes that far anyways? I have to say, SRAM shifting on flat bars on this style anyways feels really strange to me, where you have to reach your thumb way forward. We were talking about this a little bit in the live stream last night, and a couple people chimed in saying that you would still use your index finger to shift it. Maybe it's just not in the position for my hand, or maybe I'm just not used to it. The Shimano flat bar experience just seems way superior to me, and I'm strictly talking mechanical shifting here. Anyways, on the way back it was getting dark, and I jumped down onto the towpath, and this is where the bike rode really nice on the crushed limestone. And also, with there still being a bunch of compacted snow on the ground and ice, just that total confidence not to worry at all with these 4-inch studded tires was really cool, and that's one of the great things about it. But this is still, again, not really a good test of this bike. I'm glad I got out on it because, one, these tires were set up tubeless, so it's probably really good to get them rolling and moving. I've left the bike sitting upside down in the studio until this ride so I could walk by and spin them once in a while. I just didn't want them not to be holding or anything like that. Yeah, not a great test for the bike, but I'm glad I got out and rode it for 16 miles. When I got home, by the time I was getting close, I wasn't even thinking about the fact that I was riding a fat bike beyond just the confidence. I don't know if it's just that the geometry is designed so well, or I'm just one of those people that is just not super sensitive to bike fit in different bikes. But in the dark, I kind of wasn't even thinking about that I was riding this big fat bike. I will say, after the ride, I did notice I was more tired than I would be if I had just ridden my, say, Gunner, ATB, or gravel bike 16 miles with a few hundred feet of climbing. Surprisingly, it just didn't feel that crazy different as you would expect. It was a lot of fun to ride, though, but I really want to get it out in a situation that it would really excel in. A lot of snow or some mountain biking, something like that, some of the industrial gravel even. So to be continued on the fat bike.
It is in the mid 40s today, which isn't wildly unseasonable for what's technically the beginning of winter, but it has just been such a cold and snowy time that this feels pretty warm right now. Pretty ugly day though. It'd be a much prettier Christmas Eve with some snow on the ground. Akron, like so many cities in this region, loved urban renewal. And let me show you a famous painting, at least locally famous painting, of what this intersection looked like on Christmas before urban renewal. Though I love old buildings, this park is a bright spot. And these were Akron's two big department stores, Polsky's and O'Neill's. I think O'Neill's was still open when we first moved here in the early 80s. People always ask me if I like the Soma Portman bars better than the Velo Orange granola bars I had on here. I have a better comparison now because I've been riding the bike that I put the Velo Orange bars on. These bars do feel wider, more upright. I don't know, more like driving that big Cadillac or whatever. But I don't know what I prefer. It's also hard to say because two completely different bike setups. You know, to really know apples to apples, you'd have to like take the bars off and go back and forth a couple times. And I'm also, as I said in the fat bike segment, I'm just so adaptive to bike fit, or insensitive to it in a lot of ways, that's why I don't do more in-depth reviews. I just talk about what I like and what works for me, because I'm just, yeah, not always the right guy to ask. I like them both. I guess there's finally the planning and funding in place to finish this section of downtown Main Street, make it nicer like the rest of it, which is exciting because they did a great job on redesigning Main Street. I started, I think, a little before the pandemic. But yeah, this section sucks still, so that'll be cool. This whole stretch along here was all BF Goodrich. I've talked about this before, but anywhere you see a parking lot, there was another factory building. Largest rubber factory in the world at its time. I think ever, actually. So. That's still all the factory down there. Raw dogging it like Terry B. You know what? I don't really think I should do my shopping on an empty stomach. Good thing is the place I'm going to do the first part of shopping has food. Gift card from the Lockview. Another gift card, this one for Missing Falls. As I told my friend Ethan, the bartender, also a cyclist, if this one doesn't get spent, at least the money's going to my friends. Same is actually true at Lockview. I've known Danny for a couple decades because that used to be a venue where my band used to play. I just thought of a good gift card for my sister and brother-in-law, because when we were decorating cookies, as you saw in the last video, we were having a funny conversation about just a conversation that became too many cooks in the kitchen, and nobody knew what anyone was talking about except me and my sister, and we were laughing, and it was about a restaurant that everyone had kind of reviewed in their own way, whatever, long story. But that'll, at least when she opens it, also make it funny. And they're also locally owned. I'm trying to decide if I want to go there because it's down in the valley on the towpath. So we're going to hit the crushed limestone part of the towpath and see how rideable it is. Obviously not on studs today. And if it's all compressed ice, I'll go on Christmas Eve during part of my festive 500 ride. I need to rewatch some pathless pedal videos, but I think I'm going to get myself a standoff that attaches to the spacers for my front bag on this bike. Little Merry Christmas to me. Going to be extremely careful on this bomb down into the valley too. There was still some compressed snow that had turned icy last night when I came by on the fat bike. So comfortable on 4-inch studded tires, you just don't worry about much. The whole street here is actually built over the canal. The canal's been buried underneath this inner belt that's decommissioned and all this other urban renewal projects. So that was built in the 60s, so it's probably aged out. Crumbling concrete, so they've been redoing that since late summer. Should be open by the spring though, hopefully. And I think there is a little bit still up here. Yeah, more ice. I'm guessing this run into the Cuyahoga Valley is going to happen tomorrow. We're still on the pavement, but since there was still some ice where there was last night, I'm guessing the crushed limestone is holding even more. Yeah, the rest of it will be gone tomorrow. It'll be a slog, so we'll probably go a different way to get there though. We'll be sticking to roads and not the towpath. It's already hard to push through even on these 55s. So, my stomach turned in an instant as I was climbing up that hill, and on my way home, I was fighting for my life. It was a 5-alarm emergency, so I never finished the video. But either way, I just want to say happy holidays to everyone, no matter what you celebrate, or if you're just celebrating, hopefully having at least a day off. But yeah, thanks for the great year. More to come. I will see you in the next one.